Hey everyone! Last week we showed you how we installed this Ursa Minor camper top onto my Jeep Wrangler JLU. This week we are installing solar. Previously we had installed 3 100-watt Renogy solar panels, the rigid solar panels, monocrystalline, on a rack on top of the hardtop. Now we're going to be going to some BougeRV flexible panels. So it'll be a little different and we got a little learning curve, but we're going to get it done. We're starting out by just laying them on top of here and looking at the space that we have. We have to decide whether or not we're going to do them in series or in parallel. Previously we always had done them here on the Jeep and on the van in parallel, and it worked really well for us. These panels are super thin. They only weigh 4.3 pounds each, and that's went into our decision to purchase them. They're new to us because they use a new technology called CIGS technology, which stands for copper indium selenide, and I'm sure I'm butchering this pronunciation of that. I'll put the spelling at the bottom here. They're supposed to be super efficient in low light conditions and considered to be superior in performance to other flexible panels. They have a adhesive back on them that peels off and is supposed to be super strong. Our next step is to go inside, lift this top, and try to figure out where in the heck we're going to put all these wires through.
We figured out where we're going to bring the wires into the Jeep. We're going to put a hole in the top right in this area, which is right above a hole that goes into the canvas, which is made for wires to go through, which goes into a pocket right here. And once we get in that pocket, we can run them down and then get them into a hole that's inside the Jeep.
In the bottom of this pocket, Ursa Minor has a hole where their wires come out at. And what we'll probably do is put a hole right next to it, because this one's too small to include the wires that we're going to be running.
And then here you can see where we have the panels off for the ceiling. And once we get the wires down through that hole that Cindy showed you we drill, they can run right down along the side of this and then down to the back and back into this box here where the MC4 connectors are for the Blue Eddy.
We are ready to start laying these panels on. I went through and I wiped the top of this down with alcohol, and we're going to line up this first one, get it down, and then all the other two off of here. Just work our way down the top of it till they're all on. They're off center just a little bit because we need room on the edge for all the wiring, and this should go pretty quick.
Now we just need to get all these wires tidied up and together and run them neatly over to where we're going to drill the hole and put them through the top. So I have all the panels connected together. We made a parallel connection so all the negatives are together and all the positives are together. That seems to work the best for the type of camping that Cindy does, because a lot of times she's in partial shade. I did test them and we're pulling about 4 amps and about 24 watts. And the bottom of the panel, only about 30% of the panels are in sun right now, so that actually kind of makes sense that we're pulling about 96 watts when you do the math. Now we just have to finish getting the hole drilled for the entry puck and get the wires ran into the into the Jeep. We have the hole cut into the Ursa Minor top, and the kit we're using for the wiring entry came with this grommet, but it's made for a thin metal, and this fiberglass is really thick, so the grommet didn't squeeze around the fiberglass. So I just cut the bottom lip off, and then I can just insert it into the hole, and it's actually still a pretty tight fit, and it's actually pretty snug. And then this piece will sit on top, and this hole right here is slightly smaller than this grommet, so when we mount this on there, it actually seals it and keeps it from leaking. The wires will come through these two slots here, and we'll seal those off. And then there's a cap that goes on top of this, and that gets sealed too.
Good morning, guys. We are back at it again today. Yesterday we got the solar mounted and all the wiring run into the Jeep. The panels on the inside have been removed, and we may have to remove a couple more because we're going to be running all the wiring on the inside now. We also are hoping to get the exterior lighting mounted and run into the Jeep today, and also get the interior lights back up. So it's going to be a busy day.
Alright, so I have the wiring done for the solar, and you saw where I ran it through the hole from the top of the camper into this lower area here. I just put in a couple MC4 connectors right there, and then it's going to run down the back here and goes into the box right there. And then inside the box it connects to those MC4 connectors there, which come out to this plug that goes into the Blue Eddy, which is essentially the same setup she had before. And everything seems to be working. We're at 100%, so we're not bringing any solar in, but a minute ago when I just checked it, it said it was 99%. It was bringing in 71 watts, but now it's full, so it's not bringing anything. But it does work, and the solar portion is done. Now we're going to move on to the interior lighting, like Cindy said.
Well, now that we're done hooking up the solar, we are going to start running the wires for all the interior lighting, get them in place, and the panels put back up, because we decided to wait on the exterior lighting. And the reason for that is we realized we have a lot less room than we thought we had above the ceiling panels there. So before we decide to actually drill holes in the side of this thing, we want to maybe get my awning first, figure out the location of that and everything, because if we put lighting up here and then it's in the way of all that, we're gonna regret it. So we're just gonna hold off on it for now. So this shouldn't take too long. Kevin's gonna run those wires and put it all back together. We're gonna use the same lights that we had in the Jeep previously. Before we had 4 lights. Now we're just gonna have 3. Because we have that big opening in the ceiling there for crawling through and getting up into the camper top, we're going to put the 2 lights that are in the back in about the same exact location, and the front light, single light, is going to go in the middle now, and you'll see when we get them in. We're going to mount them on this panel here, and I've got it in about the location where they're going to go, about like that. So we're going to measure them out, put it in place with Velcro. There's going to be a hole now behind them we're going to drill, and it's just going to be a teeny little hole for these 2 wires to go through. That way I don't have a bunch of holes if I have to change lights and it's a different light fixture. I've just got the one for running wires and that's it in this panel. So that's where we're at. The lights are done. We have the one in the center and the two at the back. All I have to do is turn the light switch on. I have them off right now because I was testing the remote. And now if I have that switch on, I can just use the remote, point it at the ones I want to come on, and it seems to come on. I didn't use the remote before. I just didn't think it would be necessary, and I just was tapping these because that switch turns them all on. It gives them all power, and I never need all three of these. So I'd be turning them off and on up here, but now I'm just gonna use the remote. The solar seems to be working really well. It's charging the Blue Eddy, no issues. Now with this type of solar, whenever I raise that camper top, sun direction's of course going to be important. But it's been charging so quick, I only need a couple hours of direct sun on those panels every day. So I don't think I'm gonna have any issues. My first few trips will tell me. So now that the solar is done, I should be able to get back on the road soon. Like I said before, we're waiting to put the exterior lights on because I want to get an awning first so I can make sure wherever I place them is going to work. And then I want to move everything back in the Jeep that we had to pull out to make room to work in there and get it cleaned up, load it up, and take a trip. I'm dying to test out this Ursa Minor. So the first shakedown is going to be really fun. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And I hope you'll join me on my adventures to come. Bye guys.